Serious. What event in your life still F's with you to this day? If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for new daily videos. When I was a child, I received an invitation to a birthday party. It was handwritten and given to me by the kid whose birthday it was. When I got there, he pretended not to remember inviting me and asked to see the invitation. He denied writing it in front of many of my classmates and said I invited myself. I was so upset that I wanted to leave immediately, but my mom had already left, so I explained what happened to his mom so she could maybe drop me off. Luckily, his mom recognized his handwriting and was clearly angry at her son for being a bully, so she gave me some lamingtons and a soda and told me I could go play video games by myself until my mom picked me up. That was the day I discovered that none of my classmates were my friends. Kids are baseless creatures. For my 16th birthday, I invited my 7 or 8 closest friends from school over, and no one came. No one called, just told me they'd be there and never showed up. I'll never forget that sinking feeling. I ended up calling a few, and they felt so bad. They came over after all. I don't know what was worse, having them not show or be there, but not really want to. Oh, this was half a lifetime ago, and it still makes me sad. I second that. Adults can be awful in a similar way to this. For spring break in college, I invited a lot of friends to my parents' house in another state. Parents were on board. It's a cool house, in an area with lots of activities to do. All of them said yes, multiple times, when I asked to confirm on several occasions. No one showed or called to say they weren't coming. My parents had bought a lot of food and drinks for us to share. I dropped those friends immediately after. It still stings years later. I would have sent the birthday boy to his room for an hour and kept the party and fun going for everybody else. It's so much effort to round all the parents back up if they aren't there, and a pain in their ass if they were planning that time to run errands, etc. Say to the group, let's all recognize the situation that's happening, and bullying will not be rewarded. I went quadding with a man on our second date. On the ride home, after an awesome day exploring the mountain, he lost control of the quad, and we went off the logging road into the trees. A tree fell on my leg, pinning me down. My date, who took a tree to his skull, fell backwards onto me. I was unable to move my entire body, trapped under a man I believed to be deceased. We were hidden in the trees, off of a low traffic logging road, and my cell phone was far out of reach. I remember watching the clouds pass overhead, thinking I would die out there, a slow painful death. It was terrifying. I screamed for the guide to wake up. He eventually gained consciousness, long enough to pass me his phone. I called 911, attempted to stop his bleeding, used some adrenaline super strength to move the tree off of my leg, and crawled out to the road. We both spent weeks in hospital. My leg was severely broken and I was hypothermic. He broke his neck, arm, leg, multiple skull fractures, and brain bleeds, yet survived. This happened 2 years ago. It feels like it was just yesterday. Sounds utterly terrifying. Was there a third date? Apparently, they were together like a year, and then he started abusing her, going off a previous comment she's posted. When I was 16, I was on my way to take my SAT on a Saturday morning. I pulled up to a 4-way stop on a quiet street and looked both directions. Glanced to my right and saw a car way down the road. Didn't look for more than a second and thought I was good, since he had to stop at his stop sign. I enter the intersection and look to my right again, and the car is already at the intersection. He was going 55 miles per hour on a 25 miles per hour road. He was not stopping. Time slowed down as I realized, oh, he's about to T-bone the side of my tiny pickup truck. So I look away from the window to keep my face safe from any potential flying shards of glass. I white knuckle grip the wheel and just hope for the best. He flipped my truck. I rolled onto my side and nailed a telephone pole with the top of my truck. As I'm laying there on my side, I'm feeling all over my body, just expecting to be badly hurt and just in shock. But amazingly, my worst injury is a scraped elbow. This was nearly 10 years ago, and even today I drive like a grandma when it comes to intersections. I'll wait an extra few seconds every time if I feel like a car is approaching too quickly. There have been times where a car is coming up quick, and my heart rate will skyrocket because I think I'm about to get hit again. I have never trusted another driver ever since that day, and being that defensive has never steered me wrong. On the bright side, the guy who hit me immediately called the police, then shoved his shirt through a crack in my door, so I could cover myself while the cop broke the window and pulled me out. He broke several bones, admitted fault to the police the second they got there, and personally apologized to my hysterical mother and myself multiple times. As shitty as it was that he hit me, at least he wasn't a shitty person. I still took my SAT too. My hand was shaking from adrenaline the entire time. Wait, the wildest thing about this is you didn't postpone the damn test. How'd you do on it? LOL. First time I took it, I got a score of about 1300. Then when I took it after that wreck, I somehow got 1850. No idea how, because I didn't remember anything on the test later that day. After that I would tell people, my advice for a good score is to get in a traumatic car wreck right before. The adrenaline gets your brain juices flowing real well. But in hindsight, I should have gone home. But no one thinks 100% clearly after something like that. I was fast asleep and was suddenly woken up by the sound of loud hums, broken by giggling. I look over, and there's my husband, in some kind of trance, humming and giggling in bed. I shake him. No response. I turn on the light and he doesn't flinch, but begins flapping his arms. He's not a drug user, but I had just gotten home the day before from a 2-week-long work trip and noticed he was acting really strangely, rhyming words when he talked. But now, it honestly looked like he was high as F and was completely unresponsive. I call 911 and the paramedics come. Over that time he slowly emerges from it and starts talking. His blood pressure is 180/120 while sitting quietly. He is a healthy guy in his 30s. They insist on taking him to the hospital. We spend several hours there, and over that time, he begins freaking out at me for calling 911. We are in Canada, so it's free. He takes off his wedding ring, throws it in the garbage, tells me I'm a horrible person he never wants to see again. That's when the nurse sits me down and tells me what's going on. Bipolar disorder. He's in deep mania and is psychotic. They involuntarily admit him, and he spends the next few weeks coming down from it. In that time, I grieved as if I had watched him die. Watching your partner go completely psychotic is so heartrending. They're just totally gone. Their body is there, but they are not. It took me a long time to recover. He's now, after 2 years, stabilized on the right meds. He's able to hold down a job. He's back to his whole self, and we've talked everything through. It's a cruel disease, but treatable. It's also wonderful you stuck by his side when most people would probably leave out of fear. I know it was probably difficult, but the grace you showed him is powerful. Honestly, I really consider us lucky. For whatever reason, his particular manifestation of the illness left just enough of him that he was really committed to taking his meds. You could see him for months after, fighting with all of his strength to take his meds, get sleep, do the things you need for stability. Sometimes that's impossible for people, but I really could see the struggle he was having, and that helped me hang on too.